My name is Jacob Larger. I'm the Village Council President just east of here in New Bremen, Ohio. I'm also a candidate for the Ohio House, but my most important job is being a faithful husband to my wife and a loving father to my 3 beautiful daughters. So, I want to start out by saying a special word of thanks for the honor of being able to be here tonight through to the Mercer County Right to Life. But I also want to say thank you to those that are in attendance. It is your countless prayers, your rosaries, your vigils that made this success happen. As the Venerable Fulton Sheen once said, when we rise in heaven and we are counted at the pearly gates, there will be a chorus of 60 million voices saying, did they not succeed, but did they try? And I can tell you, on Friday, we had a small bit of success. You know, I'm really honored to be here with some really great speakers, and they sometimes tell you that they save the best for last, so please know that that's actually coming up. But we've heard from some great folks talking about the path forward. We have won a victory, but the war is not won. There are things we need to do in our society, and first and foremost, we need to pass a trigger law that makes abortion illegal in the state of Ohio from conception to natural death. We need to show the folks that would say otherwise that we care about life both in the womb and outside of the womb. We need to ensure that we have streamlined pathways for adoption. It should not take millions of dollars and hours and years of a person's life to bring up the joy of adding an additional person to your family through the miracle of adoption. We need to improve that process. Our foster care system in the state of Ohio is also in need of some serious reforms, particularly in the area of aging out foster youth. When we have an individual in our foster care hit the age of 18, it's pretty much just, hey, thanks for playing, enjoy the rest of your life, and that population needs our supports. And it doesn't require additional programs. We have supportive services right here in the state of Ohio to help them find additional education, help them if they feel so inclined to serve our country through enlistment, and also if they want to, we can get them a job. But at the end of the day, it needs to be education, enlistment, or employment. Lastly on that, we need to ensure that we're protecting our seniors' life from conception to natural death. I am proud to be the Adult Protective Services Administrator in a neighboring county where we connect individuals in need to make sure that we are getting them to the supportive services that they need to live a dignified life in their later years. So we can indeed show that we care about life both in the womb and outside of it. But moving forward, we need to promote a mindset change. We cannot change our culture. We cannot make abortion a thing of the past if we do not approach this argument with love in our hearts and support a culture that values life from conception to natural death. That starts in our own homes, and it starts by ensuring our elected leaders are accountable and integrity bound to defend life at all stages. So I wanted to talk about how we frame that debate. We've heard from some great folks tonight that honestly have done it better than what I'm going to do up here. But you know, when I started this idea of being a pro-life individual, honestly, it started from birth for me. I'm a devout Catholic, and unlike those 2 people referenced earlier, I mean that. And I'm an ardent supporter of life. And so that's been my entire life through high school, whether it was an exercise of a Grim Reaper walking around and placing tape on our mouths to indicate the amount of individuals that were aborted that day, and we were silent the rest of that day, and we had high schools in this area that actually allowed for those things. Whether it was in college, praying outside of abortion clinics, or standing at rallies like this in order to ensure that we protected life. But we needed to understand that our faith grounds us. However, it doesn't win the arguments against folks like that. So we need to make sure that we are bringing the facts with us. And so I ask you, if you engage in this debate, to ask them 2 questions. The first is, when does life begin? Scientifically, the University of Chicago asked this question from academic biologists all throughout the world, not just here in the United States, and 95% of them said life begins at conception. That's not me, that's the science community. And once we establish that, we need to ask, what right do we have to take away that life? You know, our Constitution defends and defines our rights as having the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Those are two things we get by right. God has given them to us, and one thing for which we have the cause to merely pursue, and that is protected, and that is science, folks. So moving forward, as we change this culture, I was particularly enlightened by the words of Archbishop Alexander Sample yesterday when he said we must not only seek to make abortion illegal, but rather to make it unthinkable. I really appreciated the words of Jocelyn earlier, because oftentimes the opinions of men are overlooked and sometimes unwelcome in this debate. But we play a vital role and have a vital responsibility in moving our culture. Whether the folks back there like it or not, Roe versus Wade and abortion promoted irresponsibility in pro-choice men. The role of our government should not be to make irresponsible lifestyles sustainable. And that's not me talking. Again, I'm pointing at the statistics. Fatherhood.gov, you can look it up. Government statistics show the value of a father in the life of their children. These are just some of the statistics I pulled for today. A fatherless home leads to multiple negative outcomes, including 4 times greater risk of poverty. They are more likely to develop behavioral problems, more likely to commit to a life of crime. They are 7 times more likely to become pregnant out of wedlock and as a teenager. And here's one, 2 times more likely to drop out of school. As I referenced in my introduction, the most important job I have as a man, and any man here has, is that the only role that they're ever going to have is the role of a father. And that is a fact. If we as fathers raise our children correctly, perhaps they'll have manners. But again, this movement, this encouragement cannot come from a place of judgment, just as we cannot persuade hearts and minds in the abortion debate through harsh words. So I ask you, what can we do in our own communities to show love to individuals who disagree with us? What kind of support can we give to those in need? Certainly, I think at the bare minimum, we must continue to pray for them, and if God places it on your heart, offer them those supports that they need to those that are in need of those in your community. So I'll close with saying, as an elected official, whether here locally, in Columbus, or in D.C., we can only legislate so much. It is incumbent upon us why we need to encourage at the local level the community, the sense of community we have. West Central Ohio, I can tell you that the voices standing there on the sidewalk would be much greater in a bigger city than what we have here. And that's because here in West Central Ohio, we have values, we have community values, and we value that sense of community. It is our responsibility to take that and spread it throughout the state and throughout our nation. This is our opportunity. Let's keep fighting the good fight.